Have you ever heard of a ship longer than 3 football fields that floated silently above cities? A flying palace draped in silver, complete with dining rooms, promenades, and even a grand piano? This was the Hindenburg, the largest airship ever built, a symbol of luxury and progress in the 1930s. Newspapers called it the unsinkable ship of the sky. But on May 6, 1937, in just 34 seconds, this dream fell from the sky in a ball of fire, creating one of history's most iconic disasters. What really happened that day? And how did the very element that destroyed it, hydrogen, make a comeback as a hero of clean energy? To understand the Hindenburg's fall, we have to go back to its time. In the 1930s, airplanes were noisy and cramped. Ocean liners were slow. Airships like the Hindenburg promised a new kind of travel, smooth, quiet, and magical. Germany's Zeppelin company was the world leader, and the Hindenburg, launched in 1936, was their masterpiece. It could cross the Atlantic in less than 3 days, a flying statement of German engineering pride. But inside its magnificent frame was a fatal compromise. Airships were designed to use helium, a safe, non-flammable gas. But at the time, the United States controlled the world's helium supply and refused to sell it to Nazi Germany. So the engineers turned to the next best thing for lift: hydrogen. Hydrogen is light and abundant, but it's also incredibly flammable. The Zeppelin company believed they could manage the risk. They designed advanced gas cells and venting systems. On paper, it seemed safe. In reality, it was a time bomb waiting for a spark. On May 3, 1937, the Hindenburg left Frankfurt for its first trip of the season to America. 97 people were on board, excited for the future of luxury travel. The journey was smooth until thunderstorms delayed its landing in Lakehurst, New Jersey. As evening fell and the storm passed, the massive airship began its final approach. Families and reporters gathered below, cameras ready to capture the moment. At 7:25 p.m., as the Hindenburg hovered, it dropped its mooring ropes to the ground crew. That's when witnesses saw a flicker of blue light near the tail. A split second later, a wave of fire consumed the ship. In less than a minute, the pride of the skies was a burning wreck on the ground, a scene that would haunt the 20th century. For decades, people debated what caused the disaster: sabotage, lightning. Modern investigations point to a much simpler, more tragic cause: static electricity. As the airship maneuvered in the humid air, it built up a static charge. When the wet mooring ropes touched the ground, they created a path for that electricity to discharge, creating a spark. A small, undetected leak had allowed hydrogen to mix with oxygen in the air. That tiny spark was all it took. The fire spread rapidly across the ship's skin, which was coated in a material that unfortunately acted as a propellant. The Hindenburg didn't explode, it burned. Hydrogen fires shoot straight up and are almost invisible, which is why, amazingly, more than half the people on board survived. But for the world watching the dramatic newsreels, the image of that burning airship was the end of an era. Public trust in airships vanished overnight. The Hindenburg's sister ship was grounded, and the age of the airship was over. Faster, more practical airplanes took their place, and hydrogen became synonymous with disaster. But that's not where the story ends. The problem wasn't really hydrogen itself. It was the engineering limitations and overconfidence of the time. The Hindenburg disaster taught us a brutal lesson about safety and humility. Ironically, nearly a century later, hydrogen is back, and this time, it's a game changer. Not for lifting airships, but as a clean fuel. Hydrogen fuel cells combine hydrogen and oxygen to create electricity, with the only byproduct being pure water. The same element that brought down the Hindenburg now powers cars, buses, and even prototype aircraft, but with safety technology the 1930s engineers could only dream of. Modern hydrogen systems use incredibly strong carbon fiber tanks, advanced leak sensors, and automatic safety shutoffs. Unlike gasoline, which pools on the ground when it leaks, Hydrogen is so light it disperses into the air almost instantly. The difference between 1937 and today isn't chemistry, it's engineering. We learned from the tragedy. The story of the Hindenburg is a story of transformation. The disaster forced us to completely rethink how we design and test new technologies. Every time you see a hydrogen-powered vehicle on the road, you're seeing the legacy of that fiery crash, a lesson learned and applied. The Hindenburg disaster was one of the first to be recorded and broadcast globally. The shocking images created a powerful myth that hydrogen was simply too dangerous. That perception stuck around for decades, even as the science evolved. But today, that perception is changing. We now know that hydrogen, when handled with modern technology, is a safe and powerful tool. We're using it to create green hydrogen from renewable energy, which can power heavy industries like steel manufacturing and shipping with zero carbon emissions. It can even store wind and solar energy for later use. Aviation is also looking back to hydrogen, designing new planes that can use it as a clean fuel. The Hindenburg's fiery end was a tragic reminder that progress demands humility. We can't just bend nature to our will. We have to understand and respect it. The same hydrogen that burned in 1937 now quietly powers our future. Not because the element changed, but because we did. We learned from our mistakes. So when you see those old, haunting images of the disaster and hear the reporter's famous cry, "Oh, the humanity!" remember that the story didn't end in tragedy. It continued in labs and workshops, where brilliant minds worked to understand what went wrong and ensure it never happened again. The fall of the Hindenburg gave birth to an era of safety and precision that makes modern energy possible. Hydrogen's story has come full circle, from a symbol of destruction to a symbol of hope for a cleaner world. The real legacy of the Hindenburg isn't fear, it's wisdom. It taught us that no technology is perfect and that safety is earned through knowledge. Hydrogen was never the enemy. It was just waiting for us to learn how to use it right. And now, we finally are. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. See you next time.